Alright, so a few days ago it was unveiled by Joey Badass that he wrote on the number one song in the country, which is, I still think it is the number one song, I'm not sure, which is Rockstar. He and T-Pain co-wrote on that song, and I quickly thought that it is similar to Nas writing for, uh, let's say, Will Smith. So, for all of you who don't know how it works, per my understanding, it is all about money. Some people are wise enough to maneuver this correctly. By that I mean, some people actually buy the whole song from you, and they will make it their song and then release it. So, for example, someone purchased a song from me. I no longer have no right on that song. I cannot file any copyrights or a lawsuit or anything. I've just sold it completely. I have no rights in that song. Let's say I sold it for 1 million. If the person makes 100 million from that song, I have nothing to do with the 100 million he makes, because I've given all the rights to the artist who actually purchased the song. Similarly, we actually got to know a few months ago that French Montana actually purchased the song from Jeremiah. I think, I'm not sure. Jeremiah, I think he purchased a song from for $1 million, and that song in return made a lot of millions. So this does happen in the music industry, and it's happened back in the 90s, but back in the 90s it was more hidden, and people or MCs didn't felt proud to admit that they got wrote for, or the MC who actually wrote for someone would not agree that he actually wrote for someone. For example, when the news broke back in the days, when the news broke that Nas actually wrote one of Will Smith's song, which was getting jiggy with it. So back then Nas refused, and a few months ago, or I think a few years ago, I'm not sure, the news broke again. One of Nas's close associates actually revealed the fact that Nas did co-wrote on that song, and Nas again denied the fact that he wrote on that song and tried to dodge the actual question. Nas said, and I quote, "Alright, let's clear this up once and for all. I hung out with Will in the studio and watched him write it. It was a fun studio session, and I said a line or two or three to him. It wasn't that serious. Will Smith wrote that song, but seriously, I watched him have fun making that record on his own, and Will is a true MC." So, what I get from this statement is he doesn't want to disrespect Will Smith in any way, and even if Nas wrote for Will Smith, it was clearly ghost written. See, a lot of people actually mix ghostwriting and co-writing with each other. For example, when the credit is given, uh, uh, it is co-writing, and when the credit is not given and someone actually wrote the song, that is actually ghostwriting. For example, The Chronic. Snoop Dogg was credited on 13 of the Chronic songs. So he co-wrote on the Chronic. We don't know how much, but he did co-wrote on 13 of the Chronic songs. Much like Ice Cube wrote for Eazy-E. The same way Party Next Door wrote for Rihanna for a long time. And he actually wrote the DJ Khaled song, I think it was Wild Thoughts. He wrote Wild Thoughts, I guess. So I say that to say that there are some rappers in the game who actually have the talent to write these poppy songs, but they choose not to do so. For example, Joey Badass and Nas. Nas wrote that song, but Nas cannot admit that he wrote that song because it was about something that Nas wasn't about. It's the same way, I guess, Joey Badass wrote for for Post Malone on the Rockstar song. But the funny part, or I should say, the weird fact to me was Joey Badass completely admitted on Twitter that he actually wrote the song, and he low key got his first number one song in the country. which was funny to me because Joey Badass is not that type of artist. He released his critically acclaimed All American Badass album earlier in the year, and it was very, very highly praised by all the critics and the fans. And it actually had themes of racial profiling, police brutality, and these serious topics. And when you find out that Joey Badass, the same person who talks about racism and the police brutality and all of that, actually wrote a song which has a hook called "I've Been Popping Pillies," and a song talking about pills and Xans and all kind of things. That is funny to me. Even if he did ghostwrite on there, I don't think he should have admitted it publicly because it didn't do anything for him, in my opinion, and he might miss the opportunities in the future. Like he wrote a song and he unveiled the. This is the first time I have heard that Joey Badass wrote for someone. So he wrote a song and unveiled it in front of the public. I don't think any other artist will reach out to Joey Badass for a hit or a song, and it is not guaranteed that, for example, Joey Badass writes a song and makes it and releases it. Maybe it will not work for him. Maybe it will not be as much of a hit as, for example, if he sold to Drake and Drake makes it a hit. Like there's a difference. So what I'm trying to say here, he might lose a lot of opportunities in the future for writing for someone, which is, I think, in my opinion, bad for an artist because he actually wrote for a song which is currently number one on the Billboard, and the biggest song of the year. And I think he shouldn't have done what he did. So back to my point, in today's generation, it is totally okay to ghostwrite for someone. Back then, I can only think of two or three people who got co-written by someone, like who co-wrote songs with someone, namely Puff Daddy and the Dr. Dre. And the fun fact is, I didn't know that until like 4 or 5 years ago when I actually got into hip hop, and like after 2 3 years, I was like maybe 2 years or 3 years ago, I actually found out that the Chronic was wrote with like 13 tracks. On 13 tracks, Snoop Dogg is credited and he co-wrote on the Chronic. And actually, Dr. Dre got written for, which was funny to me. And of course, Puff Daddy got written for as well. For example, if someone came out today and said Nas didn't write his stuff, that would be so heartbreaking. Like, and let's take a modern example. If someone came out today and said Meek Mill got ghost written for, it will demolish Meek Mill's career because Drake took those allegations and flipped them into his opportunities. For example, Hillary's back to back, charged up. Meek Mill clearly lost the battle. Afterwards, in the year, he released his critically acclaimed mixtape, which is loved by his fans. If you're reading this, it's too late. Then he later on, in at the end of the year, he released "What a Time to Be Alive" with Future. Then he went on tour, Summer 16 tour, which was the highest grossing hip hop tour of all time. I think it is the highest grossing tour of all time, of all genres. I'm not sure, but what I'm saying is he won big time, and he actually kind of proved that he can write for himself, and he doesn't need anyone to write for him. But Meek Mill, on the other hand, couldn't write a solid diss track against Drake. So what I'm saying is he lost at least 65 to 70% of his sales. His second studio album sold 250,000 first week. His latest album sold 103 or 4 first week, which is a big step down from his last album. If someone came out today and said that Meek Mill didn't write his stuff, it will demolish and end Meek Mill's career. So in some ways, it can actually affect a artist's career in big time. But for an artist like Post Malone, I don't think it really matters. Like if someone wrote for him or someone didn't write for him, because a lot of R&B pop artists got written for. A lot of artists in the past and still actually have admitted the fact that they got written for. This is not new for especially pop songs. It does happen, and it did happen back in the day for hip hop songs as well. But back in the day, not a lot of people would admit on camera or publicly that they wrote for someone, or the artist who got wrote for didn't admit that he was ghostwritten or someone co-wrote. That it was not something to be proud of. But in today's age, if you write for someone, it is actually a proud moment, I guess, or a proud achievement for the artist who wrote for someone. Let's say someone like Party Next Door, who actually always brags about the fact that he wrote for this, he wrote for this, he wrote for this. No one is telling Party Next Door to sell his songs. He can record and release them. But the fact of the matter is this: Party Next Door, maybe deep down, he knows that if he makes that song, maybe it will not get as popular and it will not make the money he wants this song to make. So he would rather write the song and sell it. It is not a very big deal for a writer to write a song and sell it. For real, like, let's take Rockstar for example. Rockstar is not a complex lyrical miracle song. It is a song talking about police like all the other songs. But Joey Badass did the right thing by writing a trash ass song. I'm talking lyrically. A trash ass song and selling it to an artist who would happily purchase it and make it and turn it into a hit. So it is what it is. Uh, Thank you very much for watching, and check out my other videos. I just started doing hip hop videos. I used to do tech videos a lot. I might do them here and there again, but I'm focusing on delivering these hip hop videos. I hope you like it, and if you do, please drop a comment down below and feel free to share your opinion as well, and I will try my best to have a conversation with you. So thank you very much for watching and have a great day.